Oh, hello, you all. Once again, this is Larry Roach from St. Andrew's United Methodist Church. St. Andrew's Community United Methodist Church. And I'd like to talk to you today about a devotional. And it's all about climbing mountains. Now, years back when I was not completely old and infirm, I climbed a mountain. It's called the Grand Teton. 13,000 feet up to that very top of that little mountain. We started down here and then we just went up and up and up. Some of it was hiking, some of it was technical rock climbing. But we got up to that mountain, all of us in the group. And I thought, you know, what we did going up that mountain's pretty much what we're doing, going up a mountain to get to Christ. So I thought, oh, let's share a little bit about climbing mountains. I got my cheat sheet here. First and foremost, we had a vision. The vision was that we were going to get a group together and we were going to go up, get the appropriate training, and then we were going to conquer the top of the mountain. That's exactly what the church leadership is doing for us. They're coming up with a vision of how we can climb the mountain together to reach Jesus Christ better. So we physically climbed the mountain. St. Andrew's Community United Methodist Church is spiritually climbing the mountain, and that's the goal and objective of everybody basically in the leadership and in the entire congregation. Now when we started this, we looked for partners to make the climb with us. And we wanted like-minded individuals. I mean, all of us had different opinions, but we were looking for people that wanted to climb this mountain for the same reasons we all did. To achieve something that was kind of unique in their particular lives. Well, that's exactly what we've got in St. Andrew's Community United Methodist Church. We've got a congregation, a bunch of people in the hundreds that are looking to make that same spiritual climb to reach Jesus Christ. Now, I think when we say finding partners, all of us were closely related as friends. And I think we have done a lot of that. We can do more of that in small groups and in discipleship and in ministries to find partners to go on this hike with us, this climb with us. Now, we had to find leaders. We had no business as rookies climbing up this mountain without leadership. Leadership in the spiritual climb is just as beneficial, if not more beneficial, than the technical stuff they told us. we have an outstanding group of pastors and support personnel in our church that are providing excellent leadership. And it's not only them, but that transitions down into the committees, the groups, and the people in the congregation that are providing leadership. So we've got plenty of leaders to find to assist us in the climb. We don't have to go on the internet like we did when we climbed up this mountain. Now, we had to get in shape. Now, we worked out pretty hard to go up this mountain for several reasons. It was going to be not much oxygen up there at the higher altitudes, and it was going to be physically demanding, etc., etc. Well, our climb with Christ is going to be demanding in a bunch of other ways. There may be some physical aspects, particularly when our leaders take our youth groups on various missions, but there's also a getting in shape that involves the mind. When we put our mind, heart, soul, and body into this event, which will be life-changing not only for this lifetime, but for eternity. Okay. Training. We didn't just run up the mountain. It's got some severe, significant technical areas, so we sought out some of the best technical leaders or trainers that could teach us exactly what we needed to do to keep safe and to meet our vision and our objective. And they were pretty good. They were really good. And they taught us everything we needed to know. Well, we got the trainers in our leadership and congregation that are going to help us make the climb. They're going to help us in every facet, from the base to the middle areas and on and on and on till we get to the top of the mountain. And I'll talk about the top of the mountain here in a minute. We had to acquire a bunch of gear, little sticky-soled shoes. We had harnesses, we had helmets, we had ropes. The rope's kind of neat. They're 109 feet long, and when you fall, they're like bungee cords, so you don't have a shock. You just kind of bounce around. We had all kinds of stuff we put around our waist to make the climb. The corollary in our church is we've got stuff, and I think Jeff Smith did a wonderful job showing all of the gear that we have to have in our church to make all this stuff happen. Particularly out of the blue, we had to come up with streaming of live presentations of our Sunday services, and we already had that instrumentation, that gear in place. So there is a gear component for us to religiously climb the mountain. Commitment to the vision. I don't know how many times I've heard DAs say, "No, go, and grow." I mean, if you don't want to climb to the top of this mountain, don't start half-hearted. I mean, you need to be all in to make that journey up this mountain physically or up the mountain to get better as a disciple of Christ in any manner, shape, and form. So commitment is critical to success in any of these endeavors we do. We got up to the midway point, 12,000 feet or so, and there was a few of the people that said, I don't want to keep going on up. I'd like to quit. And we encouraged them not to quit, and they didn't. So the journey that we're going to do in a mountain climb, and the journey we're going to take on a much more important climb to head to Christ, requires an attitude of we will not quit. When we get into this adventure, just like this one, we will not stop till we get to the top. I've got here, find the handholds. When you are climbing these mountains and you're on a rope, you look for places to put your feet, places to put your hands, places to get yourself up the mountain. And sometimes they're easy to find, sometimes it's more difficult, sometimes you have to backtrack and go up somewhere else. But in our church, we have handholds. We've got missions, we've got events, we've got services, we've got service, we've got ministries, we've got leadership, we've got so many handholds that we can take on this climb to get to Jesus Christ. Belay your partners. The word belay means that when one person is has made a way up on the mountain, he or she puts the rope behind her or him and plays it out to make sure that if somebody falls, then he or she is caught and protected. When our church, we need to have an attitude of we're going to belay each other to keep us on the track. And if we fall, if we backslide, there'll be somebody there to grab hold of the rope and help us on the climb to the top of the mountain. When we got to the top, we celebrated. We celebrated, we had high fives, we did everything possible given the fact that we were freezing to death. But we understood that we just climbed one mountain. There were going to be other opportunities ahead of us. This is just one celebration, not the end-all celebration of our entire lives. So the celebration was short-lived, but it was fun. And it kept us looking for the next peak of the next mountain. And that's going to be important for the church, because there's no way we're ever going to get to the very top of any mountain we climb for Christ until we're actually with Him in heaven. So we need to find the next mountain. Now, when we were doing all this training, I got a book that said, basically wrote climbing for dummies, rock climbing for dummies. This isn't the exact book. This is some Audubon Society book, but I was using it as a visual aid. But I had a book that I read extensively to figure out how I was going to get up the mountain, how I was going to tie the knots, how I was going to belay, how I was going to do all this stuff we were talking about. The book we're going to use to climb our mountain is the Holy Bible. And I don't care what version it is, but everything we need to climb this mountain is contained in here. There's 500 references. I counted them. 500 references to climbing mountains, or to mountains, in this book. So this is the end-all descriptive manual of how we're going to climb the mountains. Now this is my notebook, and so one of the references is Psalm 72:16. Let the mountains bring peace to the people, and the hills in righteousness. So to end my devotional, I'd like us to think about not the physical climb, but the spiritual climb that we are all going to make. And when we get back together, how powerful that's going to be to climb and belay each other up the mountain to achieve a greater Christian spiritual time with Jesus Christ. Thank you very much.